You like mummy stuff? I got mummy stuff for you. That kind of came out wrong there. Here's the top 10 mummy discoveries that horrified archaeologists, part 2. You know what I meant. Number 10. Kuhwy. A very preserved body of a high-ranking nobleman called Kuhwy was discovered in 2019 in quite a lavish tomb in the necropolis of Saqqara. This is a lot older than we originally thought, too. To date, it's now one of the oldest Egyptian mummies ever discovered. Dated to the Old Kingdom, aka the trial and error period of the mummification process. But after finding Kuhwy, we gotta rewrite some stuff. Techniques some 4,000 years ago, 1,000 years before they thought this process was even mastered. I'm talking fine linens, quality resin, and of course, a full mummification process. This wasn't thought to have been used for at least like another 999 years. Salima Ikram, head of Egyptology at the American University in Cairo, said, quote, "Books about mummification and the history of the Old Kingdom will all need to be revised." Sounds like the first 4 minutes to a banger Nicolas Cage movie to me, doesn't it? Number 9. Ramses II. As always, if you dig what we do here, make sure to Hulk smash that like button or leave us a comment down below. Ramses II, aka Ramses the Great, the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty and considered one of the greatest ever. And talk about fragile shipping, his mummy was moved a ton of times. Due to looting, of course, not recently either. It's written all over his linens, actually. Moved here, then moved here, finally, well, had to move him again here. Originally buried in the Valley of the Kings, but was then moved by priests to the tomb of Queen Inipi, then moved again 3 days later to another tomb. People wanted him, or wanted what was on him. In 2019, Egyptologists unearthed a ka related to Ramses II. A ka is basically a carved statue that would allow the soul to have a place or vehicle on Earth to just sit and chill in. It's only the second ka ever found. This discovery is considered one of the rarest archaeological discoveries ever from Egyptologists. Yeah, write that down. Important stuff. Number 8. Egtved Girl. In 1921, just outside Egtved, Denmark, a Nordic bronze naturally preserved woman was discovered inside a handcrafted oak tree trunk coffin. Her burial has been dated by dendrochronology to 1370 BCE. She was wearing 2 bronze bracelets, a wool skirt, shirt, and belt, and a large disc plate decorated with spirals and a spike. At her feet, the cremated remains of a young one, unfortunately. By her head, a small birch bark box that contained an awl to puncture holes, various pins, and a boned carved hair comb. And of course, a big bucket of beer. Skull! But who exactly was the Egtved woman? It remains a mystery. Number 7. Lady Rye. Discovered and unwrapped by Grafton Elliott Smith in 1909, the distinguished mummy perfectly wrapped was apparently an ancient Egyptian woman of the 18th dynasty who served as nursemaid to Queen Ahmose Nefertari, the most perfect example of embalming that has come down to us from the time of the early 18th dynasty, or perhaps even any period. Now sitting in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, this mid-30s woman is still a pretty big mystery. Her mummified remains were discovered in a Theban tomb, and scientists revealed in 2009 using a CAT scan, Lady Rye had a diseased aortic arch and is thus the oldest known mummy with evidence of atherosclerosis. They think that she died around 1530 BCE. The mummy of Ahmose Inipi, a princess of queen of the late 17th dynasty and also aunt to Ahmose Nefertari, was found in the outer coffin of Lady Rye, so scientists are sure that she was highly respected, but we got DNA analytics from thousands of years ago, so who knows. Number 6. The Tashwinat Mummy. During an excavation in 1950 under a rock shelf in Libya, under the scorching sun of the Sahara Desert, scientists think they might have found the world's oldest mummy. Just east of Egypt is a site called Ouahamagyag. A small mummified body was found under 5,000-year-old sands, wrapped beneath 5,000-year-old leaves inside an insulated antelope skin sack, perfectly mummified. The ancient site was first excavated in the late 1940s, and the small, perfectly preserved Tashwinat Mummy is unearthed by the help of University of Rome professor Fabrizio Mori, and it was found 1,500 miles west of the Nile. Using radiocarbon dating, the mummy was thought to be between 5,400 and 5,600 years old, which makes it much older than any of the mummies found over in ancient Egypt. It was believed that the makers of the mummy were cattle herders and occupied North Africa at the time when the Sahara was a savanna. The mummy now resides in Tripoli, Libya. So cattle farmers knew how to embalm and perfectly preserve for 5,000 years. That's what you're telling me here. Number 5. Princess of Ziaohe. The river princess, aka the Beauty of Ziaohe, was found in 2003 by archaeologists with the Ziaohe University studying Ordex Necropolis, a small river cemetery number 5, Xinjiang, Western China. She's also known as M11, not because she was a spy with James Bond, but for the tomb that she was found in. She was buried and preserved almost 4,000 years ago. Very well preserved, with clothes, hair, and even eyelashes still intact. She's only named princess due to her amazingly preserved body, not because she was an actual ruler or anything. Archaeologists think that because of the dry, salty conditions of the desert and her tightly sealed boat coffin made of cowhide, it had something to do with the almost flawless process. Cowhide dries out, it shrinks, sealing the coffin airtight. She wasn't embalmed before her death, remember, but mummified naturally due to the climate and method. A happy accident, I guess. A 2014 study revealed that it was now part of the oldest preserved cheese we'd ever find. Yep, a little last-minute snack or a little offering to the gods. Both good. Number 4. Zin Zhui. The Marquise of Dai, aka Lady Dai, not that Lady Dai, but this Lady Dai, was a Chinese noblewoman and wife to Li Kang, a chancellor of the Western Han dynasty. Her mummified body was found buried deep within a hillside in south-central China in 1972 by workers digging on an air raid shelter. The room is absolutely filled to the brim with objects that defined her life. Exquisite jewelry, dresses, slippers, beauty products, and even containers of her favorite food. Little Tupperware snack there. A lavish life. Kardashian-like wealth. Her body was found within 4 rectangle tombs that sat inside each other, then buried deep under layers of charcoal and white clay. A coffin within a coffin. Then wrapped up in more than 20 layers of cloth and bound with silk ribbon and placed inside an airtight coffin. The chamber was then buried deep underground to ensure cool, dry places for the body to rest. She's so well preserved, scientists in 2003 developed a secret compound that was actually injected into her still existing veins to assure further preservation. Yeah, that's not scary at all. Just inject a 3,000-year-old mummy with a secret vial. Yeah. I've seen Captain America, I know where this is going. Number 3. Tollund Man. The Tollund Man is a naturally mummified corpse which at first people thought was just a deceased old man, slowly decaying days after his demise. A man from the Scandinavia pre-Roman Iron Age actually. 5th century BCE we're talking. Long time ago. He was found in 1950 by Viggo and Emil Hojard while working on the land, preserved as a quote, bog body near the Jutland Peninsula in Denmark. The cause of death has been determined as hanging. Scholars believe that the man was actually a human sacrifice rather than an executed criminal because of the arranged position of his body and eyes and mouth, them being closed and all. His body was arranged in a fetal position, wearing a pointed sheepskin hat and a hide belt around his waist. Additionally, the noose made of animal hide was found beside his naked body. Radiocarbon dating indicate that he died circa 500 BCE. In 1987, the Silkeborg Museum reconstructed the body using the skeletal remains where it's on display today. Yeah, it's old, like wrinkles and all. Number 2. The Lovers of Modena. The Lovers of Modena are a pair of human skeletons well preserved underground and discovered in 2009 by archaeologists in Modena, Italy. The 2 skeletons were buried with their hands interlocked and are believed to have been buried between the 4th and 6th century BCE. Originally, it was assumed that the 2 were composed of a male and a female, due to the other specimens and examples that they had found in the region. The discovery of the 2 buried hand in hand or embracing mummies aren't uncommon though. The Lovers of Valdero, buried over 6,000 years ago, were buried just north in Italy, but male and female. So when archaeologists discovered the fossilized pair in the mud of Modena, they assumed lovers since they were both positioned with their heads staring at each other. Pretty common. After DNA analysis of enamel peptides on their teeth by the University of Bologna, it was confirmed that the remains belonged to 2 males. Regardless of the nature of the relationship, the Modena skeletons offer a unique representation of the love, bond, brotherhood, or commitment between these 2 men during the late Italian antiquity period. This is like the original Romeo and Juliet. In love for more than 5,000 years, the pair are now on display at the Civic Museum of Modena. That just made my day. And number 1, Spirit Cave. The Spirit Cave mummy is the oldest human mummy found in North America. officially. I had to obviously save it for my number 1 spot, and it was discovered in 1940 in Spirit Cave 13 miles east of Nevada, United States. It was found by husband and wife archaeological team Sydney and Georgia Wheeler. Aged around 40 years old when he died, the Spirit Cave mummy was one of the first to be dated using accelerated mass spectrometer radiocarbon dating. The Wheelers were surveying archaeological sites, and upon finding the cave they discovered the remains wrapped in tulle matting. Wearing moccasins and wrapped in rabbit skin blankets, the Wheelers also discovered 67 artifacts from the cave, such as bowls, cloths, carvings, and art. These artifacts were then examined at the Nevada State Museum, where they were initially estimated between 1,500 and 2,000 years old. After the University of California examined 17 Spirit Cave artifacts, the results say that the mummy is approximately 9,500 to 10,000 years old. Yeah, just a bit of a difference there, huh? Just a small difference in age. Hey, we hope you enjoyed that video. I've been Kyle McWaters. We'll see you next time on Bumblebee.